Nurses of psych wards, what did a patient do that left you speechless? This might not fit perfect, but I love this story. How about in an inpatient addiction clinic? The first one that comes to mind was something I witnessed between a patient and another floor tech. We had a man who was in serious detox, drug if choice was meth. He was throwing a huge tantrum, not uncommon in DTs, people will do just about anything to get a fix. We weren't a locked facility, so it wasn't like he was stuck there. He genuinely wanted help, that's why he stuck around, and we were there to listen and help him through the shakes, hallucinations, and other symptoms. He was slamming his fists on the desk at this point, and he had started just yelling, "I just want some fucking ice." Slang for crystal meth. Well, the tech with me was inexperienced, although much older than me, and while I talked to him and tried to calm him down, she went back to our staff kitchen and got him a glass of ice. Like, frozen water. She brought it out to him and put it in his hand like, problem solved, and the guys just froze with confusion, staring at it. The patient and I both realized at the same time she thought he wanted ice, and we just started at each other and started laughing. He was in for a rough couple of days, but I've never seen someone jump from near psychotic episode to giggling so fast. Prison guard here, guy cut his scrotum open to let people know he was serious, don't know about what. Guy 2, cut off a butt cheek, or a big part of, and threw it at me as I tried to stop him. Guy 3, punched a wall 3 times really hard, bloody knuckles, and told me he punched the devil cause he was telling him to stab me but I'm cool so he told the devil to fuck off. Guy 4, pretended to drown himself in a toilet, basically splashed pee on his face and rolled around crying. Guy 5, had sex with a window air vent and was compliant yet confused when I asked him to stop. Years ago, I was a student nurse doing my psych rotation in a Catholic facility. The nuns still wore habits and the building was like something out of the Dark Ages. I'll skip talking about the line of patients waiting to undergo ECT treatment in the basement and instead tell you about Maggie. She was a tragic case. She had been on lithium for years and it really kept her psychotic episodes in check until reached toxic levels and could no longer take it. One hot summer afternoon, we heard this banshee screaming coming from Maggie's room. We rushed in there to see what was going on. Entering the room, we are greeted by a scene I will never forget. This late 70s woman is standing on the window ledge, naked as a jaybird, screaming through the window screens at the nuns in the courtyard, "You fucking penguins are going to burn in hell." The poor sisters are scrambling to and fro trying to get away from the ranting madwoman's viscous verbal assault as we were trying desperately to pull her off the grating. I knew then and there, that I would never become a psych nurse. Psych ward counselor here. Early in my career I had a teenage girl with suicidal ideations and severe depression. The year before, on Thanksgiving, her dad pulled a gun from under the dinner table and blew his brains out in front of everyone. I normally form a response pretty quickly, even a wow, but when she told me I got quiet, leaned back, exhaled, and had to gather my thoughts. Had a catatonic guy who could play the piano like a pro, classic, jazz, ragtime, but otherwise just sat in his chair and stared. We had a psych patient on our floor that wasn't really crazy, just really confused and unpleasant in general. One night I was mixing his drink with some thickener, and per usual he started yelling about me poisoning him. I explained what it was and that we're all here to help him, not hurt him, and he responds with, "I'm just going to die." His vitals were fine, he was alert, no red flags, and like I said, he was always pretty unpleasant so I didn't think much of it. Sure as shit, he coded an hour later and we never got him back. Not a nurse, pharmacist. Had one of our clozapine patients miss a monthly meeting to discuss their medication. Called around, found out she was in the ICU having eaten 2 of her own fingers, then visited her mother for coffee, still bleeding. Had a friend tell me of another patient, made a cut in his thigh and reopened it regularly until the whole thing was a scar tissue cavern, by some miracle avoiding infection. Started using his meat pocket to hold pens and coins and anything he could collect in his ward. Nobody knew until a paperclip pierced the side and he finally wound up with an infection that took him to ICU where they found his stash. Not me, but someone I knew was in the ward with a girl who wanted to be a vampire and drank blood from her own tampons. It's as atrocious as it sounds. She was around 16 and schizophrenic. I'm not a nurse but was a patient once. Giant dude got upset. One dude changed the channel from a football game he was watching and smashed his skull with his fists. Not fully, but enough that when they brought him back a few days later he started seizing and had to be removed again. Didn't see him again. Also, there was one lady who was straight out of the movies. Walking around preaching the end of days loudly and sweating like crazy. When I was a student doing a placement in a max security unit, a serial rapist was getting meds, made a silly joke, the nurse said, "Oh, stop that." His response was, "I've heard that before." A nurse told me one of her patients killed himself on the unit while on one-to-one suicide watch. Edit. Patent and staff were at arm's length and patient suddenly charged the wall, smashing his head as hard as he could, breaking his neck in the process. That's all for today's video. If you liked it, make sure to subscribe and let us know what you want to see next. If you have time, we highly recommend to go check out this thread in the link below, some very interesting takes from both sides. If you want to, check us out on Twitter at Reddit Historian. Thanks for watching. Until next time.